Hello, welcome to Self-Made Mind. This is Jeff. Today I want to talk about barriers and obstacles. What is it that prevents us from going forward when we hit a wall, so to speak? Uh, I'm talking about anybody. I mean, the focus is on couples, spouses, boyfriend, girlfriend. But anyone who listens to this can actually take a lot from this because we all hit some kind of barrier that gets in our way sometimes. So, what is it? Sometimes I feel that when we got an obstacle that all of a sudden becomes what we think is um, unapproachable or something we can't succeed through or we can't get through because of one thing or another, it becomes it, it becomes more of a problem than you want it to be. In other words, every single obstacle, every single barrier that's in your life or that becomes a problem uh, can really be a problem if you let it. In other words, I think what a lot of us do and don't do at the same time is communicate. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of hearing what the other person's talking about, but there's not a lot of listening. And, and until we can actually communicate and listen to each other, there's always going to be that issue or that problem that's in our way from going forward. I mean, it could be finances, it could be, I don't know, in-laws, it could be anything that you consider not a huge deal, but at the same time, it can be really big if you allow it to. Now, this is excluding any kind of domestic abuse, which I do not obviously condone. Okay, excluding that because I think every person has a right to terminate their relationship or their bond with that person. I mean that goes without saying, I would imagine. Excluding that, I think there's every single opportunity to move forward in a big way when you're in the face of some kind of obstacle that you think is not impenetrable. I think that everything that comes your way is meant to be there for some reason. And it even gets me kind of choked up thinking about it because my wife and I are dealing with this right now. We're having, I wouldn't consider it major issues, but it's something that we're talking about. And at first, there was not a lot of communication, at least on my part, and that's unlike me. But when you come together and have two minds come together and think of things that you can do to get through that situation, it's going to happen. It's when you don't have that communication and when you don't have that understanding from where the other person's coming from that everything dies right there. And it doesn't need to be that way. We can't allow ourselves to think that anything that stops us from going forward is the end, because it's not. Sometimes there's people out there that will think that, well, you know, this, that, or the other is too hard to overcome. We've had a pretty decent relationship, or it's really, really good. It's the best relationship I've ever had. But then all of a sudden, you get to that point where all of a sudden both of you are stopping, and you're dead in your tracks, and then it's done. You think that the communication that you have because of that won't help. That you have to stop everything. And that's not true. When you can look at someone else's point of view and where they're coming from, and vice versa, anything can be overcome. Everything can be succeeded in the right direction. You can succeed and you can penetrate those walls of whatever obstruction that is and move forward in the right direction. We always tend to think, well, maybe not everybody, but there's a portion of us that think that when there is something that we have to climb or get over, that we're not willing to do it because it's too hard. The work becomes really hard now. But isn't all relationships going to have some hard times? Aren't you going to find a situation where nothing's always roses when you wake up with your loved one? Nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect in life anyway. But when you hit a wall, when you hit an obstacle, it's not the end of the world. There's some of us that think that, well, it is kind of, because we had it so easy at one point. Or our relationship is, in my mind, is perfect. We haven't had any issues. We haven't had any fights. You know? And that's not looking at the whole picture. That only tells me that you haven't been with that relationship for a very long time. Because everybody who has a relationship, whether it's marriage or whether it's just a boyfriend-girlfriend, but something serious, you're going to hit some kind of wall. You're going to hit some kind of obstacle. We have to communicate. We have to be able to penetrate the walls of whatever it is that's stopping us. Because I guarantee that thing that's trying to stop you is going to do everything it can. Because in a way, and I don't mean to get religious or anything, but that might be the dark side of a higher power that's trying to stop you from having something succeed in your life. You kind of have to look at it that way. I mean, if you're doing something wrong yourself, you have to look yourself in the mirror, obviously. So is the other person. But ultimately, you both have to look at yourselves in the mirror together and become one. Because that's what a relationship's about, is becoming one. When you can become one with each other, then you can penetrate the walls and you can get through it. I'm not going to say you're going to get through it unscathed, but you're going to get through it loving each other a lot more. You're going to get through it knowing that there's mistakes that you're going to make, not just now, but in the future. But you're going to be better of it. You're going to be better on getting through it in the future because you've done it before. It doesn't make you a lesser person because you've hit a wall in your life. I just think people they just tend to give up too easy. And we can't give up. I mean, you can't stop someone else from doing it, but you sure can do whatever you can to convince them and help them through what you're going through as well, because it's a two-way street when you're in a relationship. It's not one way. You can't be pointing fingers at each other. You can't say, well, this person's not doing enough. Vice versa. You do the best you can with what you have. Because that barrier that's in front of you is in front of both of you, not just one of you. And you have to get through it together. Because I guarantee that the love that you have for one another, and the persistence, and the patience, and the resilience, I can go on and on. If you have a combination of all those, or whatever else I didn't mention, you're going to get through that situation. You're going to get through that barrier. You're going to get through that obstacle, because there's no obstacle that can't be penetrated. It's a guarantee. I'm not a doctor. I'm just talking from my own experiences. I want people to understand that we're all human, and we all have to be human together. We all have to work together. That's the only way that we can survive, not just each other, but life. When it just pounds us, and when it pounds us almost into submission, we got to overcome it. I want to thank everybody for coming today and listening to this. I don't have a thought for today. I just thought that this situation, me talking about this, will put something in your head to be a thought that you can go ahead and bring to your spouse or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and just kind of present something new to somebody, because we can overcome this. If you like anything that I had to post today, in the video rather, push the thumbs up button. If you want anything more and any other content, any other videos, push the subscribe and you'll definitely be subscribed to more videos. And if you want to make a comment, do so as well. I appreciate it. I want everybody to stay safe, be good to yourself, and maintain. Goodbye.